Kai is a week now away from his fight. How's his progress been in the last week?
Oh, look, the kid's on a mission to prove he's the best in the world. You know, it wasn't that long ago that he had a really close fight with the current champ, you know, and so this fight against a former UFC champion is a big chance for him. It's a big opportunity to thrust himself right back into that talking space in the top three. You know, I genuinely think if he beats Cody Garbrandt, he could very well have a title fight next. If not, only one fight away. So, you know, for this is such a critical fight for Kai. We know he has that one-punch knockout power. We saw it in evidence in his last fight. We also saw his heart and his composure in evidence in his last fight. So this fight will be interesting. It's against a guy who's technically very good. You know, he's got good reactions. He boxes quite well, particularly out of first phase. You know, but I think you can ruffle his feathers, and when this guy's feathers get ruffled, he likes to fight, he likes to brawl, and that could be a mistake for him. So, you know, he can look good, he can look very, very good if he's able to dictate the fight at his own pace. But I just don't see his chin holding up, particularly not now he's dropping down in weight. So if Kai clips him, the guy's going to starve to death rolling.
Brilliant, brilliant. Hey, Mike, I'm really happy that you managed to come down and see me, because it's the last opportunity, because there's big moves afoot for you in your career.
Yeah, I'm off to China, so that's going to be interesting experience. I'll be the head striking coach over there. At the UFC Performance Institute. Obviously China's a big market for them, so it's an opportunity to work as a full-time coach. You know, most people don't realise, they see the success that CKB has, but you know, all of us have other jobs. You know, and you know, I've had a corporate job that I've been sneaking off at lunchtime or sneaking off halfway through the day to go watch half an hour here, half an hour there. So now I get to go and be a full-time coach for a while, and bring some of those structures and scientific elements that they use there, you know, back to New Zealand eventually. And by the same token, you know, take a little bit of, you know, a New Zealand flavour overseas. It's a bit ironic, really, in China, which is the homeland of martial arts. We think of Chinese Kung Fu and Japanese karate, and you know, we've got Kiwis now, actually all over Asia, you know, teaching them striking, which I kind of find a little bit funny.
You've had a UFC role for since August. What have you been doing here, stuck here in New Zealand? What's your role been?
So we've had obviously there's fighters in the UFC PI. How that works is they have like a roster of up and coming fighters, and their objective is to develop their skills to a level where they can move into the UFC, and obviously they service current UFC athletes as well. So it's been lots of fight analysis, having a look at fight opponents, having a look at fighters, analysing their weaknesses, analysing their strengths, and devising game plans for them as they've gone through the Contender Series. Excuse me. It's a little bit hard to do that when you are not there and you're not working with them. So you know, that's an interesting experience. And then, you know, we're developing, you know, training programs and syllabus. And just for me, that's, you know, combines the academic part into, you know, the actual coaching part. So it's an interesting setup relative to what you might normally regard as a coaching role, where you turn up after work, you get guys on the pads and you know, have a chat to them, you look at their sparring. This is far more structured and organised. So plenty of work, and yeah, it's you know, good to have a background in both the corporate side and in the coaching side, because it's required in these kind of roles. So interesting work.
Have you got a time limit on when you'll be back, or if you'll be back?
Look, I don't know. Look, it's by Felicia. I'm over there for at least a couple of years, and you just see where you go from there. Obviously, it's interesting times in the world right now, but you know, just got a job to do, and looking forward to getting over there and doing it. You know, obviously the ties back to CKB, back to you know, Balmoral, and back to my origins back in Wanganui, they don't get cut. Those channels are still very much open. Yeah, but yeah, so a couple of years, and it's good to have our coaching recognised. What I was referring to before is, for some years we've had Jason Vermeer, who of course was the Commonwealth super middleweight champion. He's been over working in Sado Kaikan, working with their top karateka to produce, to bring them through into the kickboxing realm. Faifalamoe, the same. He's been working with the Kyokushin guys over there. So, you know, again, ironic, you know, they were in Japan teaching the Japanese how to fight. Faifalamoe, of course, he was ranked up as high as, I think, number 4 in the world as an amateur in the super heavyweight boxing ranks in and around the late 90s and early 2000s, and obviously Supercharged doing great there. You've obviously got Ray over in the US working, you know, at Randy Couture's gym. You know, and he's bringing again that Kiwi/Polynesian style to, you know, in Vegas, which is, you know, really the home of professional combat sports, certainly in the Western world. You know, and obviously now I'm heading off to China, and when you look at where we've all come from, it's quite a clear lineage. You know, it stems back to Balmoral, Ligara, and the way we train, and the foundations that have been laid by Lolo, and then obviously, you know, Sifu Philip Lam before them. You know, and it won't be the first time. You know, we're very fortunate in New Zealand to have the availability of striking brains that we have. And you know, you go have a chat to anyone in CKB in the moment, and in other gyms, you just see the knowledge that is available in little old New Zealand. So you know, it's going to be a good chance to share what we've got, and also, you know, see what exists over there.
Brilliant. Well, I hope one of the other ties that you don't cut is your ties with Combat TV, because always a pleasure to have you on, Mike, and look forward to doing so again in the future, even if it is by Skype or something.
Yeah, no problems. Look, one of the great things is, you know, you and John the Rebel Conway and Mark have called a few of my fights over the years, and we're really fortunate to have that history, to have someone who's so passionate about the game. So no, we won't cut ties. We might cut political ties, Tony, but we won't cut combat sports ties. So yeah, looking forward to staying in touch.
All the best, mate.
Cheers, buddy.